Let's discuss the issues of the day now with Minister for Resources, Water and Northern Australia, Keith Pitt. Keith Pitt, thanks very much for your time. Thankfully, the lockdown in Queensland, your part of the world, you join us from live from Bundaberg today, but in terms of Greater Brisbane, the lockdown has been lifted and it's good news for Queensland more broadly.
It is good news, Kieran, and look, I just want to thank all those frontline staff who are out there doing the work and those contact tracers as well. I mean, we've still got this mask concept right across the state. I mean, it's a very diverse population in Queensland, all the way up to the Cape. I'm not sure how much benefit it is if you're an Arakoon and you've got a face mask on, but anyway, that's the direction from the Premier, but really pleased for those tourism businesses. Hopefully they haven't lost too much confidence and too much business from that short lockdown.
Will you be adopting the masks, and do you think your constituents should?
Well, I mean, that's the directive, so certainly I'll be complying like everybody else. I just think that, out on the ground, people just want a common sense approach. If you've had no cases, you're not likely to have cases, you're a very long way from Brisbane. As Warren Inch said the other day, you're closer to Melbourne than you are to the far north from Brisbane. I just think we need to take that common sense approach. I know the Premier is exceptionally cautious when it comes to managing the outbreaks. But as I've said before, I mean, Gladys Berejiklian in New South Wales have demonstrated that it can be managed, as they've done over the last year.
Did it frustrate you to see that, the fact that there were restrictions all the way up the coast of Queensland that basically prevented direct flights into places like Cairns and so on?
Well, as the Commonwealth said many times, and in particular Minister Hunt, we need hotspot management, we need contract tracing, which is bulletproof, and we need to manage these outbreaks as they occur. These great swathes of lockdown state by state. I mean, mate, I'm due to be in Western Australia in a couple of weeks, and it looks like once again I'll have to cancel that visit off the back of the closure to Queensland from WA. I mean, there's a lot of work going on over there, and the resources sector's done such a wonderful job through this period. I just really want to go and thank them.
Do you think that, you compared the Queensland approach to New South Wales, is it the fact that the Queensland authorities, in your mind, don't have as much faith in their tracing systems? What is it? Why are they more cautious? I
mean, that's a question to put to them, Kieran, but I note Dr Jeanette Young's comments about the fact that she got burned and she had issues in terms of that localised management last time. Look, I think we have to be able to manage this. As everyone knows, I mean, JobKeeper's come to an end because it simply can't be sustained in the long term. We need to be able to manage the virus as it is, get the vaccine rollout completed as safely and quickly as we can possibly manage, and that's what my focus is on.
The vaccine rollout, obviously not as fast as the federal government would like. There have been delivery issues, but clearly a spat between the federal and state governments isn't going to help anything.
Oh, look, I've seen some of the commentary. I mean, the Deputy Premier, I've advised his nickname is Giggles. I don't think anyone nicknamed with Giggles would go 3 rounds with Winnie the Pooh, so I'm not too concerned about uppercut threats. We've just got to get on with this. I mean, the people I represent and right across Australia, they're not interested in us having a fight. They want us focused on them, on their safety, getting our economy back on track, and that's absolutely what we're doing.
But there has been a fair bit of rhetoric around this, and I guess the point is there's not blame when things are going well. And so simply, things aren't going as well as they should, given we've had a bit of a clear run, very little community transmission. Have people been just a bit slack in that sense, that they think, we've got plenty of time? As the Chief Medical Officer said, there's no burning platform. So are authorities taking too long to get this rolled out?
Well, Tuesday this week we had a record level, almost 73,000 administered vaccines. Now we expect that the rate will increase exponentially as things get themselves into place. There has been a plan agreed with the states and territories and the Commonwealth, which we are implementing. The best available advice says we will hit our target in October, that all Australian adults will at least have had their first dose by then. We've got the vaccine being produced now from CSL in Melbourne, some 50 million doses that we have ordered and will secure. And we're doing everything we can to get this done in a reasonable time frame. This is about speed, not haste, Kieran.
To your portfolio now, and you mentioned the good things that are happening in resources. Quite extraordinary, actually, in terms of dollar terms. A few months ago, the expectation was that our resources exports would be worth about 270 billion. Now, just a few months later, it's close to 300 billion. And it could have been better, couldn't it, if not for those trade restrictions from China when it comes to our coal exports?
And the quarter before that, the forecast was under 250, if I recall correctly. I mean, it's just a phenomenal result. And that is off the back of those hardworking men and women in the resources sector. They did what was necessary. Companies made the changes that were needed. We got agreement through all the different levels of government for that critical industry to make sure it maintains its operations. And the forecast that it will break all records in this financial year during a worldwide pandemic, when many nations had their economies drop significantly. Once again, we've proven we are the supplier of choice. We will continue to maintain those supply chains for critical energy and resources outputs, including to Japan and South Korea and any other number. I just think the industry should be congratulated. They've done a wonderful job. We're not done yet. We've got a little way to go to 30 June.
A huge boost from the iron ore price too, to be fair, up around, what is it, $160 per tonne? That's a big part of it as well.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that has contributed. But in terms of coal, they have found alternative markets. In December, Newcastle Port was still doing more exports than they were in the year before. That's a pretty good indication that there's demand. And in fact, the thermal coal price has increased substantially. It's almost doubled. So there is demand. They want that quality product. They know we can supply. We are absolutely a guaranteed supplier around the world. Kieran, can you just imagine what those other countries would have been like during the coronavirus outbreak if they didn't have energy and resources from Australia? No power, no generation, no lights. It just would have been chaos.
And finally, we saw the announcement from Santos this week, the Barossa project off Darwin. That's the biggest gas project announced, I think, in a decade. Are there any other sort of comparable projects on the horizon?
Well, the information I have is there's around $100 billion worth of resource projects in the pipeline at various stages, all the way through to almost ready for FID, final investment decision. Look, I congratulate Santos. This is over $5 billion. It demonstrates confidence not only in the industry, but in the Northern Territory, in Darwin, in the north, in Australia's gas and resources sector. It'll make a big difference up there. I mean, I said to Kevin, we want to see Dorado. That's what we want to see next. It's another major and significant investment, which will absolutely stack up against our crude oil production, for example, or certainly provide oil into Australia's refineries if that potential is there. I'm looking to ensure we secure those supplies. I've had any number of discussions with Sam McMahon, our senator up in the Territory, about looking to build refineries and other production facilities in Darwin. I think there is some options, but we've got to have that supply tied down first.